Welcome to this month's episode of Chamber TV. We'll hear from special guest Colonel Alan Darden, commander at Fort Detrick. Brian Hamrick will also join us to talk about sign language and how businesses can provide great customer service to deaf customers. Season 2 continues with episode 16, hosted by Jon-Mikel Bailey and Jessica Hibbard.
Our live studio audience gets better every time. Welcome to episode 16 of Chamber TV.
Welcome, and thanks to our live audience for bringing all those extra hands. It's very loud. It's good.
All right. Well, if you're watching online, you've already found our YouTube channel. You can join the conversation on Twitter by using the Chamber TV hashtag. We are also posting on our Tumblr blog. You can see photos, videos, and updates online at frederickchamber.tv.
All right, let's talk about Positively Frederick. This is the Chamber's community blog. Anyone can submit a story about something good that happened to them in Frederick County.
Yes, and this month's is pretty cool. The restaurant at Potomac Farm is just over the border in Lovettsville, Virginia, but they're Chamber members, so we're making a geographical exception this month. Chef Edwards was recently featured in Food and Wine magazine and is bringing some positive recognition to the local food scene.
Fantastic.
Pretty
you
cool.
can learn more about the Food and Wine Contest and see a video of Chef Edwards on the Positively Frederick blog at positivelyfrederick.org. All right. This is just the best part of the whole show. Let's talk about some Frederick factoids. It's time again for this month's factoid about Frederick County. Unless you've been living under a rock or, just pretty much dead, you've probably heard that the G8 Summit will be held at Camp David in May.
Yes, there will be a lot of people visiting Frederick County that weekend, and local businesses are already gearing up for the visitors.
Local hotels and my basement spare bedroom will be especially busy during that time.
Yes, the hotels will be busy. The number of available hotel rooms was the first question we received from the media covering the G8 Summit, and I had to call the Tourism Council for the answer, so I thought I'd share that as our factoid this month. Including bed and breakfast, Frederick County has about 2,300 hotel rooms.
2,301. There you have it, this month's Frederick factoid. When we come back, we'll talk with our first special guest.
Thank you for tuning in to episode 16 of Chamber TV. Refreshments for our live studio audience were provided by Savory Spoon Catering Company.
It's just fantastic. Welcome back. As you probably already know, Fort Detrick is the largest employer in Frederick County, and we thank them for that, and it has a huge impact on our local business community.
We are thrilled to welcome Colonel Alan Darden, who's commander at Fort Detrick and a Chamber board member. Great to have you.
Good to be here. Welcome, welcome. All right, so first question. In broad terms, what is Fort Detrick's economic impact on our community?
It's huge, actually. We have about 9,500 employees there.
Wow.
We bring in about $439 million in purchases every year.
Wow.
And so, that money that comes through Fort Detrick always ends up in the communities, and that's a huge impact on the community, I think.
That's awesome, yeah. Well, tell us about some of the current programs and partnerships that might be of interest to some of our local businesses.
Well, we partner with the Boys and Girls Club of America, the Mental Health Institute, and just yesterday we had a huge symposium for our Exceptional Family Member Program, and those are families that have special needs children or family members, adults sometimes, that are part of the installation and part of the military.
Wow.
And we had several of the vendors in town that came and worked with us, and they were really pleased that we finally brought them all together and they were able to talk. And we'll be able to work with them to help our families there at Fort Detrick. It's great.
Yeah.
Really
Well, I
good.
mean, I guess that's one of the great things about being such a large presence and a large employer is that you have the power to bring those kinds of people together. It's terrific.
Absolutely.
There's a lot going on in Fort Detrick, as we all know. What are some of the future plans, and how do you think these will affect businesses in the community?
Well, we're all kind of having it in the economic crunch right now, and the Army and the military is not any exception. In fact, you've probably read some of that in newspapers, etc.
Right.
And so, in terms of funds, we're having to decrease some of our services, et cetera. But the good thing about it is that we have some of those services in the community. And so we'll be partnering with community services, those that we can't provide anymore. We'll partner with the community, and that'll help both of us and also bring more economic business to Frederick County. A lot of great services here in Frederick County.
Great. Well, terrific. We've been wanting to have you on the show for a really long time, so we're thrilled that you're finally here. Thank you for joining us.
I'm happy to be here too. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Come back soon. What? No hoo-ah from the audience? All right. Well, if you're interested in saving money and supporting local businesses, this segment is for you. It's time for our member-to-member spotlight.
It's fantastic. We're spotlighting a couple of different member-to-member coupons this month. Sport Clip Haircuts will give you a free haircut if you're a first-time client, or a $4 discount if you're a returning customer. And if you can explain that to them and then they explain it back to you and nobody's confused, I don't know.
You win a special prize,
yeah,
yes.
Something happens.
Okay, well, if you're looking for a place to hold a banquet event or a golf tournament, you might want to consider Holly Hills Country Club. They'll give you a 10% discount on golf fees for a business or charity outing and a 20% off discount on the rental fees for a banquet. Pretty cool.
Holly Hills is fantastic. We have had a bunch of events out there, and I've been to quite a few of them. And we're really excited about having the Chamber's annual golf scramble there on May 10th.
Yes, indeed. You can find these discounts and many more on our website. Visit frederickchamber.org and click on the red button that says Member-to-Member Coupons.
We'll be back in just a moment with our special guests, and don't go anywhere. Seriously.
Are you interested in supporting Chamber TV? Each month, an episode sponsor will be recognized during this commercial break. To learn more about promoting your company on Chamber TV, call 301-662-0745.
Welcome back. Let's move on to the front burner. Frederick is home to Maryland School for the Deaf and a large deaf community. It's not uncommon to see people using sign language when you're out and about.
Yes, and our next guest is going to share some insight with us. Please give a warm Chamber TV welcome to Brian Hamrick from his Sign Interpreting Services.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Welcome. You've been in the sign language interpreting business for a couple decades now, but just started working in Frederick during the past year or two and recently joined the Chamber. Thank you. How'd you get connected and how'd you get started in Frederick? What brought you here?
Well, it's a pretty cool story. We started interpreting and providing services here a couple of years ago, but the connection really started 22 years ago. My wife was a sign language interpreter and started in California, and her very first student from California kept in contact with her and moved a few years ago to Frederick. Last year, just after the first of the year, she asked Christina to provide services for the birth of her son, and that gave us a connection to both the deaf community and the hospital. 3 years ago, another story, I love stories. 3 years ago, my wife interpreted for a wedding, and at the wedding she met an interpreter who happened to be from Frederick. So when we started coming into the community last year, we had a connection to the hospital, the deaf community, and the interpreters, and it really paved the way for things. It's pretty cool to see how things have been working. Since the first of the year, we won the contract at Frederick Memorial Hospital. We've really gotten a great acceptance from the interpreters in the area, and now we're starting to open up the doors to the deaf community, and we've hired a local interpreter to help us with sales.
Terrific. Well, Frederick has a very large deaf community and very close-knit, as you're saying from all these connections, but a lot of business professionals aren't really sure how to interact with deaf customers. So what are your best tips for offering really good customer service to someone who's deaf or hard of hearing?
Okay, it's kind of a hard question because it depends upon the size of the business, how you interact with the deaf community. But overall, if you understand that the best way to interact with the deaf community is through an interpreter. So in a perfect world, everybody would know sign language or be an interpreter. And that can't happen. So some of the tips that you can do is have your employees at least learn some signs. Have them learn hello, good morning, good afternoon, different signs that are going to help them to just interact, maybe even some signs such as, the different types of services that the business offers or the products that they have. Another way that they can do it is by learning from classes, learning from online. Our website has a description of the classes that we have offered. We also have links to different websites. The big thing with the deaf community is that they do use lip reading, which is maybe 35% effective. So make sure when you're dealing with a deaf customer, look at them in the face, keep your face to them, and make sure that you have a good upbeat attitude, because they use body language and facial expressions a lot.
Sure. Great.
That's great tips. Legally, when should a business hire an interpreter? Because obviously we can't all afford to keep one on staff full time. But is it possible to communicate effectively with just pen and paper, or when do they need to bring in an interpreter?
All right. I'm not a lawyer, but I do have some good resources. There's a lot of good resources for businesses. We have on our website, we have links, but you can go to www.ada.gov, and there's some awesome detailed answers to that question on the website. Just in general, one of the things that you have to understand is this. The use of an interpreter isn't just for the deaf person. It's for the business too.
Right.
Sure.
Because in order to have effective communication, the business needs to understand what the deaf person is saying, and the deaf person needs to understand what the business is saying. So in most instances, my suggestion is use an interpreter. The other thing that you can do is make sure that when you're using those interpreters, anything that has to do with human resources, anything that has to do with one-on-one situations, those are always good times to use an interpreter.
Great tips.
As far as pen and paper, though, imagine if you went over to the country of France and you went to a shop owner, and the shop owner looked at you with this weird look in his eye and didn't know what you're doing, and he pulls out a piece of paper and he starts writing down for you in French what he's trying to communicate to you. American Sign Language is a deaf individual's primary language. English is a secondary language. Okay. So using a pen and paper can be effective, but really you truly want to try to have an interpreter, especially for important meetings.
Yeah. Wow, great tips.
Great tips. Yeah,
now, you mentioned the ADA, and the City of Frederick is offering an ADA workshop for businesses on March 23rd?
Yes, Friday, March 23rd from 8:30 in the morning till 10 at the Frederick
Cultural Arts Center. We will put a link to that on the Chamber TV page, frederickchamber.tv, for any of you guys who are interested in attending that. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks. It's just fantastic. As always, there's a lot going on at the Chamber. I think you have, 1,450 events going on this year?
1,450 billion events, I think.
So, to catch up on all those events, make sure you check the calendar on the website, frederickchamber.org, to see all of those upcoming fantastically wonderful events.
We've posted links to all the topics we've discussed today on our website. It's frederickchamber.tv.
Thank you for tuning in to our 16th episode. Do you believe that?
Amazing, yes.
A lucky member of our studio audience will win today's prize, a ticket to our next Generation Connect event on April 24th at Flying Dog Brewery.
Very exciting. This month's show is made possible by the following donors and sponsors.
The talented Sean Morrissey is our announcer.
Kelly Beach is our producer.
Ed Collins is our executive production assistant.
Catering for our live studio audience was provided by Savory Spoon Catering Company. We record our next episode Friday, April 20th at 1 o'clock. We'll be right here in the Chamber Training Room, and you're welcome to join us. Between now and then, we'll see you around town and online at frederickchamber.tv.